I am euphoric today because it is the 100th episode of the Fiction Story Writing Masterclass. And I'm so glad that I could be a small part of the empowering feeling that I could give you, in pursuing your creative writing abilities, right? So, yes, we are going to start the 100th episode today, and so many various genres that we have seen over all of these episodes, and I'm sure it has been a treasure trove of knowledge for all of the people who are watching me live on a daily basis, right? And there have been great learnings and insights that you have been taking home, right? So with that, thought again, with that thought of happy learning, let's begin today's episode as well. I am Sapna Mahadevan, your host for this beautiful evening, and I warmly welcome each one of you to PSTV. So, yes, we have the fiction story writing masterclass here, and I believe that you are all ready to I would urge each step, as I always keep telling you, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? So the first step, the will to learn that we take, is what is more and more important, right? And I really salute all of the people who are watching me in this live today for taking time out to drop into these live episodes, and basically, having the will to learn, right? So that is really commendable. And let me now go ahead with the coming up segment. And today we again have a lot of interesting and exciting activities planned for our wonderful bunch of people who have joined me in the live. Yes, so I'm going to tell you more about essentials, how you can build up the story of the plot of your story, give some depth to your story, and of course, there are also going to be some fun segments which are going to really aid you in carrying forward the story writing process. Yes, so there's going to be a Think Like a Pro segment, some icebreaker questions, jumbled words, which are all going to be from today's episode, Antonym segment, and a recommendation of the day as well, right? So, are we all ready? Give me a show of hands in the chat box. I can see likes pouring up here. I can see some beautiful emojis as well. All of you waving hi to me. So, yes, a big wave of hi to each one of you, and a warm welcome to this platform, right? So, yes, and I get a lot of thumbs ups here, yays in the chat box. So lovely. So let's get started with our first icebreaker question. And the question right there on the screen, it says pizza or pasta. So I know it's going to be a difficult one choosing between these two options, right? But we have food options coming up here. So is it pizza or is it pasta for all of you? I think I love eating both. But if given a choice, then I would prefer pasta over pizza. And what about you? Go ahead and type out your answers. I would really like to know. Kian De Cruz waving hi to me here. Hello there, Kian, and thanks for joining the live. You can always mention your options. Okay, so Kian says pizza. Pizza it is for Kian. Lovely. And I get pasta there, pizza again, pasta, arrabbiata. Okay, my mouth is really watering here. I'm also getting some specifics in the chat box. Great going, all of you. And let's now go ahead with the first genre that we are going to speak about, the broader genre, right? And for today it's going to be science fiction as promised yesterday. And let me also tell you more about science fiction. I'm sure with the passing of all of these episodes we already know a lot of information, but still, let me put it out there for all the unversed uh, people who have joined me in the live recently. Yes, so science fiction is, again, when you have fiction in that genre, then you know that it is kind of speculative, and it comes from the author's imagination, right? So that is what science fiction is all about. And again, it is in reference to science and its various concepts, right? Now, that was the broader genre, science fiction. And moving ahead, we have the next icebreaker question, and it's quite an interesting one. It says reading or writing. So which is the one that you would prefer? I know that I'm going to get, I think, writing options here in the chat box, because we are doing creative writing here. Yes. But let me also tell you, having this habit of reading is going to do a world of good to you, because reading in a way is also going to aid you in your creative writing process, right? So you're going to take inspiration from the lot of authors that you're going to read about, right? And thereby form a particular kind of interest in the genres, right? So reading or writing is the question, and I get writing here as an option. And for me, I think both of these are very good habits to inculcate. Yes. With strong creative writing abilities, we also get a good self-expression and stronger communication ideals, right? So I have Sahil Malik here joining the live, and yes, so writing is the option that I get there, and reading as well. So again, mixed bag of responses here in the chat box. Great going. So let's move ahead to the next segment. Okay, so I just have had another comment come up there. Ashutosh Shukla. Okay. Hi there, Ashutosh. I am very well. Thanks for asking, and I hope you're doing well too. And Kian says both of these options he likes. So I think, yes, so he's answering for the previous icebreaker question, which was reading or writing. So both is what Kian prefers. And Sahil tells me that writing is a good option. Lovely. So, and I also have Azlan joining me in the live here. Good evening, Azlan. A very good evening to you too. And let's now move ahead with the subgenre for the day. And it is, okay, let me pull up this comment from here. Right. So the subgenre for the day is going to be hard sci-fi. So that means that we are going to write hard science fiction story. Yes. And this subgenre, let me tell you, it focuses on stories which are based on real science. So there's a difference between hard sci-fi and soft sci-fi stories. Soft sci-fi stories, let me tell you, here science is just a concept that we have in our stories, right? But when we write about hard sci-fi stories, then it's based on the real scientific concepts. Yes, so that's the difference between hard and soft sci-fi stories. And let me now move ahead to the next icebreaker question, which is chips or French fries. So that's again an interesting one. Do we like chips, or do we prefer French fries over chips? Again, I'm getting both as the answer here. I know there can be no two words about it, isn't it? Chips or French fries. Okay, so I have French fries as well and chips as well come up in the chat box here. And I know we love them both, right? Great. Lovely. So with that, I'm going to move ahead to establishing the essentials. And let me also tell you more about the science fiction genre. Yes. So we always see that, we humans are a curious bunch. We always, want to have all the answers, right? And if those answers or those questions are about some unknown concepts, right? Then we need a lot of scientific explanation towards it. Yes, isn't that so? Yes, so that's why we have a fascination towards all things which are unknown, right? And that's why the science fiction genre is a popular genre which talks about, maybe space exploration or even aliens, right? There could be newer concepts like time travel, teleportation, yes, and so many of these concepts are new to us. We do not have scientific explanation towards them, right? So that is why it fascinates us more and more. Yes. So when you write a hard science fiction story, there are some essentials or prerequisites that you would really want to have into your story. And these three definite elements in every hard science fiction story coming up onto my screen. The first one is the setting, and then I have the science and also the exploration. Okay, so I got a recent comment here from Kian, and he prefers French fries. Lovely. So thanks a lot for that answer there, Kian. And let me get going with all of the essentials in writing the hard science fiction story. The first one is the setting, and I'm going to now delve deeper into each of these essentials and let you know more about how you can be incorporating them into your story, right? So the first element that we have is the setting, and let me tell you, since it is a hard science fiction story, the story is going to be based on real, authentic science. And the setting that we have here is the science itself, right? So yes. And after the setting, the second element that we have here is the science itself, right? So here again, okay. So I have Azlan give me another response here, which is chips. Great going there. Keep on writing to me, and as and when it gets to me in the chat box here, I'm going to definitely read out all of your comments, right? So yes, now we were talking about the second essential element, which is the science, right? So again, the science in the story, it can be of any kind, as long as it is well within the realm of scientific possibility. So there has to be an there has to be a logical explanation to it, right? And it can be included into the structure of your story, right? So that's about the science element that you're going to involve into your story writing process. And the third element that we want to keep as an essential in our hard science fiction story is the exploration, right? So the story is basically going to embark on a journey which is full of exploration on scientific theories and its application in the story world, right? And you're going to talk about how the scientist or whoever is the subject matter expert in your story, how did they explore all of these concepts, and how did they get the much needed answers to some of the scientific questions, right? So that's going to be the focal point in our story, and we will delve deeper into this journey of science exploration, right? So the three elements that we already discussed as prerequisites in our hard science fiction story, one of them was the setting, which is going to be based on real science, and then we had the science element itself, and also the journey of exploration, right? So these are the three essentials that we are going to definitely keep in our hard science fiction story. And moving ahead, we have the first antonymic word for today, which is authentic, right? So now, antonym would mean an opposite of the word, right? So for the word authentic, the possible antonyms are unreliable, spurious, or even false, right? So I can clearly say that when it is false information, then it is not authentic, right? So that's the antonymic word, the first word for the day, which is authentic. And we saw that there are three antonyms that we gave you there: unreliable, spurious, and false. So you can go ahead and jot down these words in your Google It journal and basically try and amp up your vocabulary, right? So whenever you have a conversation, try and use all of these words wherever appropriate, right? That's how you enhance your vocabulary and make an impression with your audience, right? So that was the antonymic word, the first word for today, which was authentic. And moving ahead, I have another icebreaker question here, which says Snow White or Cinderella. So two brilliant fantasy characters here, Snow White as well as Cinderella. I have grown up basically reading basically, right? So go ahead and type out your answers in the chat box and let me know which of the two do you love better, Snow White or Cinderella. Classic fantasy stories, right? Okay, so I get Cinderella there in the chat box. There are so many, is another option that I get there, another answer in my chat box. Of course, there are so many fantasy characters, but we have cherry picked two of them, and you can let us know from these two options which is your favorite. So yes, I have Cinderella come up there, Snow White as well. Both is another option that I have there. Great. Lovely. So yes, that was the next icebreaker question that we had. And quickly, I'm going to move ahead to the next segment, which is expert tips on establishing the essentials, right? We already saw the essentials, and now let me tell you some of the expert tips which will help you in further writing your story, right? So the first expert tip is all about research, right? So now, since the story is based on real science concepts, then it of course requires a lot of research, right? And I can also tell you that start writing the story only when you are confident in yourself, and you have done the research well, and there's a lot of hard work that's going to be done for writing a hard science fiction story, right? Because your research is going to be key here, and all of the science concepts that you talk about in your story should be logical. They should have a comprehensible explanation, right? So science is going to be, the focal point of our hard science fiction story, and research is the key here. That's the one thing that you need to really etch into your mind, right? So now, with that, let me move ahead to the second expert tip. And we have the second expert tip, which is that there are so many topics that you can explore for writing a hard science fiction story. Like, there are advancements in technology that is happening, decade by decade we are seeing so many technological advancements. It's really difficult to keep count, right? And you can also talk about AI, which is artificial intelligence. Young people here in the live who are really interested about space, and space travel, and maybe teleportation, time travel, those kind of things. Whosoever is inclined towards space and space related concepts, they can include all of these concepts in their hard science fiction story. And of course, we can also talk about future worlds like utopia, where everything is going to be hunky dory, right? So these are some of the topics that we give you as examples that you can be exploring while writing a hard science fiction story. Yes. With that, let me move ahead to the next expert tip that we have here. And this is about, not it's not necessary to stick to what's written. You can even go beyond the explore go beyond the concepts that are unexplored, as long as it is still following the rules of science, right? So you just need to remember that you are going to play a delicate balancing act, and science should be the tool and not the story in itself, right? So that's one pointer that I want you all to perfectly understand, right? You can, of course, tread into uncharted territory, explore the unexplored, but just remember that you're following the rules of science, right? And with that, now I'm going to move ahead to the next antonymic word, which is advancement, right? So now the next antonymic word that we have here is advancement. And let me tell you that for the word advancement, we have three different antonyms that we have mentioned out here. One of them is retreat, and then we have back down, and also withdrawal, right? Um, so that was the second antonymic word for today. So the opposites for advancement could be retreat, back down, and withdrawal. Right now, moving ahead to the next segment, which is again an icebreaker segment, and it tells you zoo or aquarium. Okay, so zoo is a place where you can find animals, and aquarium is a place where you can find sea animals, right? So go ahead and type out your answers. Let me know which is more exciting for you. Is it a zoo or is it visiting an aquarium? Um, okay, so I'm going to wait for some of your answers here. And I get an aquarium there, first of all, and aquarium again. I think it's It's really a mixed bag again, because I can see zoo as well come up there. So I totally get that. It is so very exciting and thrilling at the same time, isn't it, to visit a zoo? And these days, there are safaris that we can be doing, right? And really look for all of these animals in their natural habitats, right? So that's even more fun. And thanks again for all of these responses that you've been giving me here. Zoo and aquarium, both of them coming up onto the screen, right? Now, moving ahead, we go to the next fun segment, which is the movie title trivia, right? And here, you are supposed to guess these popular hard science fiction movie titles, and I'm going to show you some pictures, right? So from these pictures, try and guess the movie title and do write to me in the chat box. So this one says an epic drama of adventure and exploration. So which is this movie? Can you guess the name of the movie? And let me know in the chat box. Okay, so I get a question mark there, and maybe let me reveal out the answer to you. The name of this movie is 2001 A Space Odyssey, right? So all about space exploration, right? A similar kind of a genre to hard science fiction, and you can always take inspiration from these kind of movies and the books that you read, right? So this is the second one that I have here on my screen, Uma Thurman, and featuring in this movie. And you can tell me which is this movie. What's the name of the movie? That is a correct answer. So let me reveal you that, of course, yes. So thumbs up to that, kudos to that. Lovely. So let me now quickly move ahead to the third one that we have here after this one. And I'm also getting responses here in the chat box, which I think the emoji means that you're not aware. So that's totally okay. It's just a fun segment that we are playing with all of you here. And if you know the answers, then do let us know in the chat box. So this is the third movie that we have here. And the movie title is what I am waiting for here in the chat box, right? So science fiction, let me tell you, it really is a fascinating genre which fuels our imagination, and also in a way it feeds our state of wonder, right? We are always in awe with all the different scientific concepts that we see in movies and in books, right? So now we are going to turn the part and be a budding author, try and write a short piece in hard science fiction. Yes. So if any of the time, if you have had certain questions regarding to these scientific concepts, then you can form them into a story and try and give a whole new look and feel to it, right? So okay, so I have not got any responses yet, so let me reveal the answer here. It's Blade Runner. And moving ahead now to the next picture that we have here, there you go. Science is wonderful is one comment that I get there. Of course, it is Joseph. And when you write about, when you actually, even before writing, when you think about all of these concepts and try and build a story around it, then it's going to do a world of good, because you're going to get better at self expression, right? And also you're amping up your creative writing abilities, right? So always have the right questions, and do not really worry in asking questions, right? Because once you ask the questions, only then you will get the correct answers, right? So don't keep it to yourself, but go ahead and ask the right questions, right? Okay, now with that, let me reveal the answer here as well. This is the name of the movie that I have on the screen here. And with that, I would want to also ask you whether you have watched any hard science fiction movies. If you have, then do go ahead and let me know what are the movies that you have watched in this genre, right? With that, I'm going to move ahead to the plotting the plot, right? And again, there are three important elements in a plot for writing an engaging hard science fiction story. And all of these three elements, there they are: the point of view, then we have an element called keep it light. So I think the name itself is self-explanatory, right? You not have to talk about too much of science, right? And then the third element is about the characters. Yes. So moving ahead to the first element that we have here, which is point of view. So obviously, when we are exploring science, then we need a point of view which can be negative as well as positive, depending on the way you see it and the way you introspect about it, and try and explore it the way your imagination points at. Have a gut feeling, and then with that point of view, maybe positive or maybe negative, form a base for your story and start writing it. Yes. So that is the first element that we have here, which was the point of view. And the next one we have is keep it light, right? So what I want to tell you here is, don't make things unnecessarily complicated, right? We have always seen that writing a hard science fiction story, it is like a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, it makes the story explainable and comprehensible for your readers, whereas on the other hand, you do not really want to bog down your readers with too much or maybe intricate details about science, right? So there's a delicate balancing act that you need to do while you're writing a hard science fiction story. And how you can be doing that is by maybe building the plot slowly, explaining everything clearly, but in very simple terms, in layman terms, so that your readers will be in a better position to understand, right? And I always believe that stories, just at the very starting, as readers, we make out whether it's an interesting story or not. For me, at least, especially the first few pages are set it up for me. So sometimes it is so very fascinating for me. It's such a compelling read that I want to keep on going at one sitting itself. Or some of the other times, it's like the initially it kind of gets boring, and then I really do not feel like picking up the book again, right? So that's the skill that you need to have while writing a story. Maybe even if you're writing a short piece, the first initial few pages or the initial paras do the trick, right? So always keep it light and self-explanatory, and even if you want to explain it further, then do it in simple, clear terms, right? So that was the second pointer that we had here in plotting the plot, that is, keep it light, do not unnecessarily complicate things, right? And with that, we have the third element here, which is the characters, right? So since we are going to explore science, it is a given that there are going to be some subject matter experts in the field of science. There could be, people who are leading the whatever the scientific exploration is about in the story. They can be an expert in the field. There could be scientists involved in your story, right? So include all of these characters as well in your story to make it believable and relatable for your readers, right? Now, after these three plotting the plot points here, we are going to move ahead to the antonymous word for today, the next one, which is explore, right? So exploring, the meaning would be when you're treading along a path and trying to discover new things, right? But now we are going to talk about the antonym, that means the opposite of explore, which means disregard, ignore, or even overlook, right? So those were the antonyms for the word explore. And I want you to write all of these words down in your fancy Google It journal. I love to call that a fancy Google It journal, yes. And if you have jotted down each of these words in one place, then it's going to be a quick ready reckoner kind of a thing for you, right? So after this antonym word, we have a fun segment here. I know there was a lot of hard science fiction, elements that we just now discussed. So let's keep it a little lighter now and go ahead with our fun segment, which is Think Like a Pro. So now try and guess these words from the emojis that we have given to you, right? They are really very creative, and you just need to put on your thinking caps and try to give me the answers to these emojis. And if you think about it, these are also like compound words, right? So Two of these things put together, you're going to get one word. And go ahead and type out your answers in the chat box and let me know if you can guess these emojis. The first word is, that's correct. I got the right answer there in the chat box. And that was a piece of cake, isn't it? It was quite simple. The first word is sun, and then we have glasses. So what does that make it? It makes it sunglasses, right? Yes, so that was the answer, the correct one coming up there in the chat box. And Shweta Saxena, kudos to you. A big round of applause for giving me the first correct answer to this segment. And now I'm going to move ahead to the next one here, the next picture. And there you go. Okay. So what is this picture? What does it tell you? If you play Pictionary, then I'm sure that you're going to decipher the meaning of this emoji here. Okay. Yes, and there I get the answer. That is correct. It is Burger King, right? And that was quite easy, isn't it? So I get a lot of answers for Burger King. And the third one coming up on the screen, what is this? Shooting star, and that is correct. Lovely. Let me showcase all of these answers here and quickly go ahead to the next one. Here you go. This is a person who is always found with a book in their hand. Who are they? That is correct. That's a bookworm. Lovely. There you go with the correct answer. And now brace yourselves for the last one, the last Think Like a Pro picture for the day. And here it is. Not getting any answers right now. Okay, so quickly let me reveal that for all of you. Catfish is the correct answer. And I'm getting answers to the previous question as well. Lovely. Okay. So great going there. Brilliant job that you could answer some of the Think Like a Pro questions here. And now I'm going to go ahead to the expert tips in plotting the plot, and let us try and understand how we can give the depth to our story. After talking about all the essentials, now we really need to know how we can write a full-fledged story, right? So for that, we need to know all about the plot and how we can be plotting it, right? So the first expert tip that we have here is about the scientific details, and you need to describe it in great detail to your readers, and actually along with accuracy, right? So accuracy will come from research, and we already saw that one of the key elements in writing a hard science fiction story is research, because with the research done right, we know that we have a rudimentary understanding of science, which can be aided by the research that we did, right? So stick to the basics and explain whatever is happening in the story. That's the first expert tip. And moving ahead to the second expert tip, your story, it's important that you have a lot of emotions as well weaved into your story, right? So that's a craft that story writing is all about. Yes, it's and I can call it as a story is something where there are a lot of emotions at play, which in fact binds the reader together to the characters in the story as well, right? So at the end of the day, remember that it's a story and it's not an informatory book, so you need not be rigid, but you can always explain the scientific concepts along with weaving some kind of a story into the plot, right? And while weaving the story into your plot, also remember that you need to have to portray certain emotions as well in your story, right? So that it binds your characters with your readers, right? Now that was the second expert tip. And moving ahead to the third expert tip, what we can tell you here is do not overcomplicate things by adding too many topics into your story all at once, right? You can include less topics, but at the same time keep it more powerful, right? So when I tell you about all of the scientific explorations that could be the theme to your story, like we saw space explorations, everything to do with space, and then we saw maybe like teleportation and time travel, or maybe it could be about moon colonies, right? Or also affordable space travel. So whatever is the concept that you're going to keep as the theme for your story, remember that you can take only maybe one or two things into consideration and keep it powerful, rather than keep putting all of these concepts into your story and not able to balance it out properly, right? So that's the third expert tip for all of my dear viewers for today, right? And with that, I'm going to now move ahead to the next antonymic word, which is rigid, right? So the antonym for rigid will be flexible, easy, and soft. So I'm not hard on my readers when I keep it as a flexible story. Yes. So the opposite or the antonym for rigid will mean flexible. Yes. So with that, now we are done with all of the antonymic words. And now I'm also going to move ahead to the next fun segment again. So if you have been intently listening to me, then you will definitely give the correct answers to all of these jumbled words. So what is this segment about? Let me tell you, you need to find related words to this lesson. The letters are all jumbled up, and you need to form it into a correct sequence and give me the correct word, right? So this is the first jumbled word that we have here. And can you quickly guess what is this word? If you form it into a correct sequence, then there will be a word that we have as essential element for today's topic. So which is this word? That is right. It was quite easy. This is science. Yes. Now moving on to the next one. Again, a word which is a part of our genre for today. That is again correct. That is hard. So hard science is the genre that we are seeing. Yes. Now the next one coming up here. Unjumble this word and let me know the correct word. Explore. That is right. Lovely. And then the last one, which we have here on the screen, what is this? Again, one of the themes that we discussed that science exploration could be all about, and something that is unknown to us, right? So this is space. So these were the four words that we had in our jumbled word segment. And now let me move ahead to the recommendation of the day, which is a movie by the name of Sunshine, right? So now in this movie, we see that there are a team of astronauts who are assigned a huge responsibility of saving the sun, right? And we see that, while they try doing this, things take an ugly turn. They meet with an accident, and the lives of the crew members are endangered. So that's what the story is all about. And it's a 1999 historical drama film, right? And one of the recommendations of the day for all of our dear viewers for today, right? The name of the movie again, Sunshine. Okay, so now we are coming to the end of the episode here, and I'm going to quickly give you a roundup of all the learnings and the insights that we had from today's episode, right? By in writing a hard science fiction story. First things first, we saw the essentials, which is the setting, the science, and the exploration, right? So, and we also saw some expert tips where we understood that research is key, and because of the research, it can aid us in having a rudimentary understanding of the science that we are going to portray in our story, right? And after these essentials, the setting, the science, and the exploration, we have the next set of learnings, which were the plot building pointers. And here we saw that there could be a positive or a negative point of view, introspect what you want to portray into your story, and at the same time keep it light, give scientific explanations, comprehensible logical explanations to the science that you have involved in your story, but at the same time don't bog down your readers with too much intricate details, right? And again, the characters of our hard science fiction story could also include some subject matter experts in science, and some scientists maybe, and people who are involved in that field. Yes. So with all of that, those plot building pointers, and the essential elements that we discussed, and also the expert tips, I'm sure that you have got a lot of information. And when you sit down to write a story all by yourself, then it's going to be a little less intimidating for you, right? So I also urge all of my dear viewers to be doing this project work where you implement all the learnings from today and try and write a small short piece or maybe a short story on hard science fiction, right? And let me tell you, it's going to be a whole lot of fun when you research about all of these unknown aspects, maybe space exploration, moon colonies, right? You're going to get so much information while you research on all of these topics, and it's going to be a fun an interesting watch to see what or how your brain is going to process all of this information and weave it into a story form, right? So implement all the learnings from today and come up with a short story. And with the project work being done and discussed, for tomorrow I have the next genre, which is mystery, right? So tomorrow being Thursday, we are going to deal with exploration of a mystery topic, right? And there's going to be a different subgenre. So again, I would strongly encourage each one of my budding creative writers here to join me in the live tomorrow, as well as at 6 p.m. India time. And till that time, I hope you take good care of yourselves, keep smiling, and stay happy. Yes. If you have any comments for me, do let me know in the chat box. I will definitely read all your comments and come back to you in the next episode, right? So, with that, I'm Sapna Mahadevan signing out for today. Bye bye.